My pump from the new pump came with this I don't know what the hell you'd call it, but anyway, and the pump on my car has a whole different setup along with a sensor on the end of it. I'll show that in a second, but I ended up taking this out of the new pump and putting the system in it as part of the old pump because it's going back in the car the same way. So anyway, it's kind of confusing, and it kind of baffled me just a little bit. So I'll show you how that all works out. This is the setup that came off of the car. This is some sort of a pressure transducer, whatever, and a plug which attaches down at the bottom over there. And what was confusing to me is that this section here can rotate. It's tight now because of this nut here which draws everything in, but there are two O-rings, one here and one here, which hold the pressure in. And then this is where your banjo bolt goes. This I've got this tie wrapped out the hell out of my way, but this is where that banjo bolt goes to take your high pressure from the pump to your steering rack. So that goes in here. The reservoir comes off. The only thing about it is that there's a small O-ring at the bottom of it. Check to make sure that it's not flat and that you don't have to replace it. If you do, it's skinny. I didn't have one that fit. Mine looked okay, but I wanted to replace it because I don't want to go through this whole mess again. But this is the big thing. I watched another guy doing an GS300. This is a 2004 Lexus GS300. And there's none of this business shown on any of those videos on YouTube, so I thought that I would include that in my analysis. To get the pump on and off is a pretty simple matter, but you can see here when it's in the car, there's 1, 2, 3 bolts that hold it in place. You can get to those by rotating your pulley and working through the pulley to get those out. Once you get those free, and of course get this thing disconnected, the pump finally comes out, and then you can work on it. There, the pulley comes off pretty easily. I stuck a bolt down in through here to lock the pulley, and then I rotated. This is standard rotation, not left-handed, just so that you know. I can't remember. This is 14 maybe. Can't remember now. These are all 12s. I think they're 12s. This was a 14 or 18, I can't remember. Anyway, and then it's all pretty straightforward. This is the tensioner for the serpentine belt. You put a thing on here and stretch it out. Most of the stuff is pretty straightforward. It's just these tricky things that I mentioned are the important stuff. All right, so I'm going to put it all back together now. So I made an error, or at least I said it. I thought that bolt down there was part of the mechanism. You can't see it, unfortunately, but that bolt down there was actually part of the thing to hold the AC pump. And I had just taken that out, thinking that was part of the structure here. The steering pump itself is only held in with these 2 bolts that go through the pulley. And, once you get them lined up with the boss in the bracket that's on the back side, and you get them snugged in, it's all okie dokie. Then I'll take this banjo bolt, I go in here for the pressure, put this back on, put the belt back on, the tensioning, and we're done. But I wanted to point that out. These 2 14mm bolts here are the only ones that hold the pump in place. So, all right, sorry for the mistake. So I forgot this This is a high pressure line, and this screws into this boss here, and this needs to be oriented this way, and the only way to do that is to loosen this nut, and you can't get to this nut because of this boss, so the pump's got to come back out again. But I took the pulley off of the face of this thing. It's a little easier to get to the nuts here and here. And I'll pull the pump back out, loosen this nut, rotate this thing back around so that this will sit right on top of it, reattach it, put it all back together, and hopefully I'll have a finished product. A little review of some nut sizes. The nut on the end of the pulley here is a 17. The nuts that, or the bolts rather, that hold the pump onto the bracket are 14s. This banjo bolt is a 17, and the wrench that you need to take the tension off of your belt tensioner is a 14 here. So you got 14, 14, 14, 17, 17. I think that pretty much covers it. I don't remember anything different. Okay. Okay, so we're all back together. The connections were made for the plug for this sensor, whatever it is, pressure sensor, I'm assuming. It's really weird. Here's the high pressure line. Here's a sensor up top and another one underneath. I don't know what that's for, but anyway. And then the belt is back in place. Now, they don't give you a good description of the belt, so here it is. When you're putting the thing on, here's your power steering, your alternator, and here's your main crank, and here's your air conditioning. Anyway, this is the way that it goes. This is your tensioner here in the center, and you push it to the, it would be to your right, to take the tension off of this, and it's a 14 millimeter. And it helps if you have somebody to do that while you're fishing the belt, but you can do it alone. It's just a little tricky. So that's it. Now, the other thing about it is, if you look very carefully here, it says power steering fluid, but if you read it, it says use Dextron type ATF, automatic transmission fluid. You don't use power steering fluid, you know, the standard power fluid. So I look, and I've got brake fluid, and I've got all kinds of stuff, but I don't have ATF. So I'm going to go to the store and get some ATF, and then I'm going to put it together and see if it works. Incidentally, I think this is the old pump, and I think that where my leak had developed was the seal around the main shaft, the drive shaft from the pulley, and the pump still appears to be good, but the seal went bad. And I suppose you can change these. There is an O-ring, or a snap ring rather, that I think you can take out of here and maybe pull it out. But the aftermarket, for all the hassle to do this whole job and to put a new pump in here, the pump was, I think, this aftermarket pump was about $80, I think, maybe, give or take, delivered to my door. So it's less hassle doing it that way. Anyway, and you have a new pump besides. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna go to the store and get some stuff, and hopefully this will take care of my whining and leaking problem.